Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We're going to finish up Merry Devil of Edmonton today by hearing from Peter Fabel in Act 5, Scene 2. So at the beginning of this scene, there was all the confusion with people passing each other in the woods while these guys are hunting deer and these guys are breaking Millicent out of the nunnery. And Sir Arthur Clare and Ralph Yerningham were accused of stealing the deer, and then they wound up in front of the wrong inn because the signs for the inns had been switched and all this craziness. So at the beginning of Act 5, Scene 2, they've made it to the St. George, and host Blake let slip that there was a wedding that happened there that morning, and it turns out that it was Raymond Mounchensey marrying Millicent, and Sir Arthur Clare is very upset about this, but Millicent is like, Dad, the only reason why I went along with the whole nunnery thing was because I knew these guys were going to break me out so I could marry Raymond because I'm in love with him. And as Sir Arthur Clare is trying to wrap his mind around the fact that pretty much everybody was in on this plot except for him and the elder Yerningham, Peter Fabel comes in and says, "Now, knights, I enter. Now my part begins. To end this difference, no. At first I knew what you intended ere your love took flight from old Mounchensey. You, Sir Arthur Clare, were minded to have married this sweet beauty to young Frank Yerningham, to cross which match I used some pretty sleights, but I protest such as but sate upon the skirts of art, no conjurations nor such weighty spells as tie the soul to their performancy. These for his love, who once was my dear pupil, have I affected. Now, methinks 'tis strange that you, being old in wisdom, should thus knit your forehead on this match, since reason fails. No law can curb the lover's rash attempt. Years in resisting this are sadly spent. Smile then upon your daughter and kind son, and let our toil to future ages prove the Devil of Edmonton did good in love." So he comes in to tell the rest of the story, and he's like, just so you all know, I knew what you were doing from the beginning. I knew that you were going to try to marry him, and to mess that up, I might have conjured some little spirits. He's like, it wasn't anything bad. Nobody's going to be condemned, don't worry about that. Nobody owes their soul to the devil because of what I did. But I did this because I know Raymond. He was my pupil and he was in love. And if you tried to keep the two of them apart, everybody was just going to be miserable for years and years and years and years and years. So instead, can you please just bless this match? And then, when people look back on this, they'll say, Peter Fabel, the Devil of Edmonton, did a good job because he let these two young lovers end up together. And Sir Arthur Clare is like, well, okay, I guess you kind of have a point. So, all right, I accept and approve of this marriage. And somebody go get my wife from the nunnery because Lady Dorcas was still staying at the nunnery. So Bilbo says that he's going to go get her, but he's bummed that he's going to miss breakfast. And then Smug comes back out and he's still drunk, and they all decide that they're going to have breakfast now that they know which inn is the Sir George Inn. And that's the end of the play. So it's cute. I enjoyed reading this play quite a bit. It is a little bit simplistic and maybe a little bit convoluted that might not make it Shakespearean. What throws me off, though, is we had those two prologue scenes about Peter Fabel being this sorcerer and owing his soul to the devil and making the deal with the spirit to get 7 more years on Earth. But then the play itself is about whether or not Millicent is going to get to marry Raymond. So why was this tacked on to that? Why did we need to know this about Peter, and why did we need to have that sort of Faustian element brought into it in order to make the rest of the play make sense? In a weird sort of way, Peter Fabel reminds me a smidge of Prospero from The Tempest with his sorcery and his conjurations, and with his sort of turnabout at the end of the play where he's like, everything's fine, so everybody just please decide to get along. So there are hints of that there, but it's fine that Prospero exists if we don't know that he made a deal with the devil in order to learn all of his sorcery. I don't know, that feels like a very unresolved plot line to me. I want the 7 years later, what happens to Peter Fabel, to be tacked on to the end of this play. But this one, it has no epilogue, nothing. It's just, they're married, now we're all gonna go have breakfast, which I guess is how good marriages begin, maybe? Anyway, I'd love to know your thoughts on this play. Did you enjoy it? Were you confused? What did you think? Please leave me some comments and, spread the word, subscribe, tell your friends about it. I would love to see a production of this done. If you happen to know of one coming up, please also let me know. But tomorrow we're going to start in on a new play, Musidorus, which is also a comedy and which I'm betting I will accidentally call Mucinex at least once. But we're going to start in on Musidorus in new play day tomorrow. I'll see you then for that. Mwah.